Hey guys, how's it going? This is Anirudh here and welcome to your 33rd C++ tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you about friend functions. Now listen to it carefully, it's very important, very useful, use it quite a lot in my programming and it's quite nice, frankly to tell you. So let me just explain this to you through the notes that I've made in the past. So hang on. There are times when you want a function to access the private members of a class without that function actually being a member of that class but still has access to its private elements. Two reasons that friends functions are useful have to do with operator overloading and creating certain types of input output functions. You want friend functions to have access to private members of two or more different classes. Okay? These are the situations when you want to use a friend function. It's a very useful thing, so let's get to it. First, I create a class, Anirudh class. It's a too big a name, so I'll write my class. That seems more appropriate. So integer n comma d, these are the private elements and the public functions. Okay, so my class a constructor which takes in two integer parameters int I and int j and just does a very simple thing, n equal to I and d equal to, well, j. Very simple. And now the magic, creating the friend function. Int is factor, my class object. I won't tell you the function of this program, try guessing it from this name. So let's say this is the declaration of the function, a prototyping of the function. Okay, so how do you distinguish from the regular function? Well, it's a very simple thing. Sorry for the suspense. All you need to type is friend. Sorry that I broke that thing. Friend, there you go. C++ keyword gets highlighted into blue and whatever. So now if you want to define it, you can even define it outside just as you would define a regular thing. Okay, int is factor, my class object. Now I define it. If not ob.n percent ob.d, this is quite an important thing, you'll realize this later on. Return 1, else return 0. Okay, so now our next, the main thing, that is, well, int main, the main function. I create my class object 1 10 comma 2 and another object 2 13 comma 3. Okay, if is factor ob1 cout, it is a factor. You must have found out by now what does this do. And L if is factor ob2 cout, it is a factor /n. I need to put the else thing here, else cout not a factor, and there, just copying that, and there we go. Let's just run it. I'll show it to you. It is a factor, it is not a factor. To make it differentiated, let's say I'll write 1 here one one here so that you can differentiate them at least. One here, should put them in the brackets, there you go, and one here as well. Now sorry, why did I put one here? So there we go. Let me just run it. Is factor 1 not a factor 2? So now if you followed along carefully, this should be very clear, but if you haven't, so I'll explain it to you. Okay, so first we create a class, no problem. Two private variables, no problem. Create a constructor, no problem. Hey, what's this? Friend? What does this mean? Well, this essentially means that you're declaring a friend function. Now, a very important thing to realize is that a friend function is not a member of the class of which it is a friend. Get this in your head. Although friends have knowledge of private elements of the class of which it is a friend, it can only access them through an object of the class. That is highlighted by this line here. If not ob.n ob.d, you cannot directly write n and d. You have to use it through objects of the class. Very important. Okay, don't mess this up. This is super important. I really messed this up when I was beginning my programming, but very important, pay attention to this. Okay, if not, this is actually just logic. So if n is, for here in the first case I passed here 10 modulo d, that is 2, so remainder is 0. So if essentially this thing is equal to 0, that is essentially what this is checking. I can also write this equal to 0. It means exactly the same thing. Just I'll show it to you. There we go, same run, same result. Okay, so don't get confused by this. It is just a programming way to show off your knowledge. You can show off by writing just this instead of equal to 0. Okay, so when you return 1, you're essentially returning a true value. If it is not 0, essentially what this is checking, if it's not 0, then it is true. If it is 0, then it is false. This is how computers work. Okay, any non-zero value is treated as true and any 0 value is treated as false. Why any? 0 is only treated as false. So get this in your head, very important. Friends are not member of the class of which it is a friend. Very important. Thus you have to use objects to access the elements of the class, although they have knowledge of them. Okay, don't mess this up. This is very important, and stay tuned for the next few tutorials coming up. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.